martini, shaken not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
I'll do that. There is no trouble.
Nobody can stay in the corner. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I'm my number one fan.
Here we go.
Alright, don't forget that today's episode is brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. It is the official energy drink of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Available in over 20 different flavors in 30 different countries. It is the active energy drink for people who live active lifestyles. Rockstar Energy Drink. Try all the new flavors. I am stuck on the hardcore green apple. It tastes just like a Jolly Rancher. Get out there and try it today because it's the official energy drink of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Happy St. Patrick's Day from the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Top of the morning to you. Yeah, fucking beauties.
Hello again, everybody. I am here with Ed and Zach.
Hello.
What's going on? And you guys, it's St. Patrick's Day. There's no green beer around here, but we're definitely going to be getting into some green something a little bit later on.
I got my green socks on.
How you guys been doing?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Not too bad. It is a warm, sunny day in Oklahoma City, and we are recording this on March 17th, 2019, and everything is about The Departed today, guys. First off, how's everybody's week, Ed?
It's been pretty good. Just working a lot. Laundry, adult crud. Not too much. Not too much. Yourself?
Not too bad. A lot of recent watches here for me, but Zach, what about you? How was your week?
No, I just got back from Tahiti.
Mexico.
No.
No.
Did you make a plan?
No.
Tahiti. It's that
No,
place
you
that
didn't
was
have a
on.
plan?
It's that place that was on Moana. Tahiti.
No.
No.
Well, anyway,
life's been good. Anyway, go ahead.
Brought the Mandalorian game.
Feedback from last week's episode, Captain Marvel, our most downloaded episode in the short 26 weeks that we've been doing this. The love for Captain Marvel. You guys have any negatives about last week's episode?
No. I haven't heard shit.
No?
Have you?
It was a little noteworthy that we spoiled some stuff. I did get some negative feedback, and again, I told everybody throughout the whole episode last week.
Spoiler heavy.
Very spoiler heavy. But honestly, if you didn't go see Captain Marvel in the first 3 or 4 days, you deserve to get it spoiled. Am I right?
Hey.
That's the way it works now.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
But other than that, everybody enjoyed the episode. Like I said, it was our most viewed and our most downloaded episode that we've had. Again, if you want to find us on Facebook, Ed, how do they do that?
Facebook.com/MovieReels405. That is MOVIEREELZ405. You can tap that Learn More button. That'll direct you straight to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Maybe even turn on that notification bell, and you'll get any one of our new videos coming straight to you. And that's even including Podbean. That's including Spotify, iTunes, man, on most platforms.
Also, we will be getting an Instagram here pretty soon. I have all I have everything I need to go ahead and finish the Instagram account. You guys want to talk a little Endgame before we get too deep in today's episode, which is all about The Departed here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The trailer opened up this week. What do you guys think?
I thought those uniforms were sexy. I mean, I'm not. In all honesty, I thought they were pretty cool. The toys have been kind of leading us towards the belief of the. Not sure if they're calling it armor or just quantum realm uniforms or even time uniforms, because who's for sure if they're going into the quantum realm or time.
They're the quantum realm suits.
So there you go. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. And honestly,
for the first reactions, though, I mean, one word, you can use one word if you want. But
I'm going to use a scene or a part of a scene, and I mean we already talked about this a little bit, but the Captain Marvel and Thor scene. Pretty much, they were like, yeah, we're the two most powerful, beings in the universe, the entire MCU. So, how are you doing? Kind of deal.
Zach, what about you? I mean, let's get your thoughts. The moment you finished the trailer, what first popped into your head?
Death. I really liked how they highlighted the history of Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, which really, I think all of us had the idea that Cap and Iron Man are probably on the cutting room floor, not cutting room floor, but just on the cutting board. But Thor, I was really surprised that they decided to do his backstory.
Well, did you notice actually? And
before we dig a little bit into it, I had planned that we'll sit down, we'll check out the trailer one more time, let everybody out there hear, because obviously you can't watch it with us, and then we'll dig into what we see. Maybe we'll see something different.
1,000 years ago, I fought my way out of that cave, became Iron Man. Realized I loved you. I knew I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We will. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I like this one.
Oh man.
We're just a few weeks away from Endgame. I saw something that a lot of people think that we'll get one more trailer before the movie comes out. If you ask me, I think that's it. I think they should just leave it at this.
I think they should end it with this too. I think that is an incredible trailer. It's very raw, it pumps you up. And surprisingly, I'm surprised they didn't release the tickets with this trailer.
now I wanted to ask if y'all have seen the two things I seen, the two standout things, as in visual features that I seen.
Talking about the Schindler's List, where only the red is
Red.
showing.
I just picked
Not
that
only
up on this
that,
viewing.
But that's another thing. But there were 3 characters that had black and white scenes. Predominantly 3 characters. That is
It's-
Thor, Cap, and
right, with
you know.
the-
So is that signaling that all three of them, not only Cap and Tony, or Cap and Iron Man, but is that signaling that all three of them are either going to perish or be...
Let's get off,
you know what I
for
mean?
a second, let's get off the dying bandwagon right quick, because to me, Thor signed up for more films.
Which is awesome.
And Chris Evans, I think everyone has the notion that he's done with the character, but in interviews and press, he says that he would like to do more of Captain America.
I have a feeling that if we just not think about it and go in and just see what happens, I think we'll have a lot more appreciation for what's about to happen. As far as like the trailer goes, it does like why the Schindler's List, thing.
Visual.
Why are there certain red spots showing up? And maybe if you go back and watch the Schindler's List, maybe they're doing something. Maybe it's an homage to, because in the movie you've seen Schindler's List.
Yeah.
The little girl dies.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know
in
if
the color.
exactly.
And she was wearing the red jacket.
I don't know if any of this, has a tie-in, or maybe it's just maybe we're overthinking the trailer. But man, we it seems like every week something as far as Avengers or DC goes that has been popping up in the news. And speaking of DC, James Gunn rehired to do Guardians 3. Still doing Suicide Squad, but made news earlier this week that Suicide Squad is now just a reboot. It's not even Suicide Squad 2. No Will Smith. So what do you think? Should they just throw in the fucking towel? I have seen some reviews that are like, hey, DC, because none of the comic books, go hand in hand, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. There's not like part 1, part 2.
Right.
It's just a whole multiverse of comic books. Maybe if DC does that with the movies, that would be groundbreaking. That's different from what Marvel's doing, and maybe that would work out for them.
Maybe, but I just see like everybody cutting ties except for pretty much
Margot Robbie's the only one that so far is not done, and Viola Davis.
Well, not only that, but Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa.
We're talking Suicide Squad.
Right, but I'm just saying the whole DCU. It just seems like it's breaking up. At least with MCU. You've got characters that have been going for 20, 21 movies now, in different segments. So, it's just kind of like...
Well, that's because of, really, if you look at Marvel, what does Marvel have that DC doesn't?
Disney.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige. DC does not have a Kevin Feige.
DC does not have that one person that wants to see this through.
Right.
I think they did with Zack Snyder, and...
He's gone.
Yeah.
But I think they've got room for a lot of talent. I think they've got room to definitely grow easily. Room to grow. But as far as that goes, honestly, I'm a little bit kind of salty with Cyborg's separation, I guess you could say. I thought he played pretty damn good. I thought he was funny at times. He was very intellectual, very smart. Played it kind of with a straight-laced face.
But I don't know if you guys agree, but that's one character that could probably... Doesn't really matter who plays him, because they're going to be pretty much...
half CGI. Yeah.
So, one name that has been popping up that is on the lookout is Michael B. Jordan is in heavy talks with DC rumors. Whether it be Superman or another different kind of hero for that film franchise or... whichever. But man, today, you know what, we're gonna just dig right in, because we're talking one of the most influential mobster movies of our time, and that's The Departed. It's been out since 2006. What is one of the first things that we'll go in circle, as soon as that movie came out, what did you guys did you see it? Did you initially see it day one? Did you buy it? And what was your initial thoughts? We'll start with you, Zach.
I got to see it in the theater, actually, the
Nice.
opening weekend, and I was just like, I remember when the movie ended, I was just like, oh my god, that was just like pure awesome. Like I really wanted to see it again, but
no spoilers yet. We'll save the spoilers for a little bit later on. But for right now, were you familiar with Tarantino? Scorsese's work, or was this just one movie that you're like, oh, fucking Leo's in it, let me go see it?
It's a little bit of both. Leo's probably one of my top 2 maybe favorite actor, and Scorsese, probably up at that point, I really just followed Scorsese with Leo because he had done Gangs of New York, The Aviator, and I believe this one was that one, and The Departed. And, like, that really opened up my horizon for more Scorsese. But I really didn't get, like, his big films like Taxi Driver, Goodfellas until, really, honestly, till, like, last year.
Yeah.
So...
Mean Streets. Mean Streets, another one. If you haven't seen it, it's a little slower than all the other ones, but it's a really good one. It's one of his first big films. Ed, what about you? First reactions when you first saw it? Did you see it opening weekend? Did you see it when you went out and bought it? When was the first time you checked this out?
When I seen it, it was about 2007, I think, 2008. So it was a
couple of years after.
Yeah, I was about to say within a couple of years, 2-3 years of it coming out. I can't remember if my dad or if I bought it, but I was probably a sophomore or junior in high school, and knew Leo, knew Matt, knew Jack Nicholson, knew Mark Walberg, so I was like, okay, this one must be cool. Actually, I think it was right after I had bought Four Brothers, for that matter, with Mark Walberg, so I thought it'd be pretty cool, liked him, so viewed it, and I was floored by it. I mean, I thought it was an amazing movie, very well detailed and articulated, very well put together, and it's easy to see why it actually has a Best Picture. So yeah.
Well, it's definitely got the hardware to go with it, and for those of you that haven't seen it, or I don't know what kind of fucking rock you're under.
Guys, it's on Netflix right now.
Good plug there.
Go check it out.
Go check it out. But if you haven't seen it, we will hit you up with the trailer.
Plus, I mean, come on. It's freaking St. Patty's Day. St. Patty's Day.
When I was your age, they would say we could become cops or criminals. What I'm saying is this. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
This is not the regular police. This is the state police.
We are an elite unit.
This is who we're after.
Frank Costello.
You won't be paid as a regular cop, but there's a bonus involved.
So what do? You will not ever know the identity of undercover people.
Do you have anyone in with Costello presently?
Maybe.
Do you know who I am?
Maybe not.
I'm gonna have my associate search you.
That was quick. He's dead already?
Get your hands on me!
I think we could work something out.
We are well convinced that Costello has at least one mole inside the Special Investigations Unit.
There are parts of my job I can't talk to you about.
Right, you are trouble.
You don't know the half of it. You better get organized, quick.
Hey, last time I checked, I tipped you off, and you're not in jail.
Getting the feeling we got a cop in my crew.
Soon the lady's gonna find out who I am, and he's gonna kill me. I can get the rat. You just gotta let me do it my way.
If you don't, it won't be me who pays for it.
There's a leak from the inside. It's real. They're smoking out.
Alright, so that's the trailer, The Departed. Which one of the when we announced that we were doing The Departed, were you guys what were you guys ecstatic for it? Were you something that you wanted to see that you haven't seen in a while, or when was the last time you checked this out?
I actually bought it again.
A few days ago.
Yeah, about 3-4 days ago. Just because things happened with my old movie collection, a lot of stuff got taken away, so
So, with that being said, since this is something we've recently checked out, we'll get into our first topic of the day, and that's recent watches. Anybody want to go first, or Zach? Have you started? You saw anything interesting this week, or?
No, I'm still treading through Game of Thrones. I just got into season 4 last night. How doing, dear? The Red Wedding all over again. I forgot all about that. What about you guys?
I actually checked out True Grit, the newer one, the 2010 or 2011 one.
The Coen Brothers, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah. One thing that was annoying was the little girl. But I mean, you know how she always said, "Oh, I can get a lawyer on you, or I can do this, or I can do that." Like, shut the fuck up, kid. It's the Wild West. You can get blown away in the face too. So I don't know why you acting like you got a big iron on your hip. On top of that, watch The Departed. You know, kind of just come back into the zone, I guess you could say, for it. But so far, other than that, just working, hanging out with my dog, going from there.
Well, I finally checked out Green Book. Zach, you've been telling me since the day I met you, and since you went and saw it, that this is something that I should go see. I bought it, watched it, and I tell you, this is one of those only movies. Bohemian Rhapsody was one where as soon as it ended in Philadelphia, I'll just sit there and restart it. This was another one of those movies that I had to rewind and continue to look and dig through some of these scenes. And we're going to be covered pretty soon. Mid-April, we're going to be covering the Green Book. But I want to go through at least one favorite scene of mine is when they drive him to Kentucky and he stops the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
And he is trying to get him to eat it in the back seat.
He throws the chicken back.
And then as soon as he tossed the bone out the window, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But he tossed the trash out the window and he made him go back to pick it up. Small stuff like that. These two guys have been Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali. The chemistry they have, it's like they've been doing this for years together.
Yeah, they were both very good in it. Mahershala Ali won his second supporting actor Oscar.
After watching this, I'm surprised that Viggo Mortensen did not.
I really thought he would run away with Best Actor.
After seeing this, finally, I'm like, you know, nothing against Rami Malek, but
I thought he was a little bit better.
Yeah, so did I. And then I did check out, I do like this, Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald.
Right.
What do you think about it?
I liked it a lot better than the first one.
Leave you with more questions?
It left me with some more questions, but it was a more satisfying ending to the movie.
Okay, so one thing with...
And let me pause you right quick. Yeah. Last week I shit on Jude Law. This week...
I was about to say.
I enjoyed the way... I enjoyed this portrayal of a character that he did more than Captain
Professor
Marvel.
Dumbledore.
But I don't know too much about Johnny Depp's character as far as like the book goes, but I wish Johnny Depp had a little bit more lines in the movie.
Gellert Grindelwald was more of an action person than a talk person.
I kind of wish, you know, that's like, I'm not gonna compare him to like Leo or Daniel Day-Lewis, but that's having a good actor and not really saying a lot of dialogue.
Right, but I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of your acting is how you portray the character physically.
Yeah, but with a lot of, I mean, Johnny Depp in this movie is probably one things that I would say I think anybody could have probably done that character a little bit more justice, just because
it's one of the. I'll say it's one of the positives. His performance in the movie, even though it's very brief, and it's one of the positives.
And I was surprised that this movie got shit on a lot.
A lot of that has to do with a lot of the Harry Potter fans and the lores, because with the Asian woman turning into Nagini.
See, I caught on to that.
But a lot of people were pissed with that, even though J.K. Rowling herself made that canon. Everybody was pissed about it.
Well, my wife was telling me that the snake is in the Harry Potter movies, and they refer to him as
Nagini.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is, but people don't want to think
they were upset that she was Asian?
No, they were upset that Nagini was a person before she was a snake.
Oh.
Because people don't want to open their minds and let J.K. Rowling keep on with the Fantastic Beasts. Because, don't get me wrong, you're going to get introduced to, in those movies, to a huge world. It's kind of like going from The Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit.
That's another thing I was going to say. A lot of people who probably, read the book and acknowledge the books, it's going to be completely different, right? Like, you can't expect them to be, like me. For me, for example, I'm a huge movie fan.
Right.
I watch the movies. I don't read the books. So to me, the Harry Potter movies and these last two, Fantastic Beasts, were really, really good.
Well, I mean, okay, a lot of people didn't understand what Ilvermorny was. You know, and I mean, that's the American Hogwarts, basically, the American wizard school. So, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, cool. But I mean, you know, they have 4 different houses. They have all kinds of different stuff.
I mean, but I enjoyed it. I gave both movies a 7 as far as both Fantastic Beasts. To me, though, I did like the second one. It was a little bit more, had a little bit more action. Didn't drag as much as the first one. And then I bought Instant Family and checked out Instant Family.
I heard that was pretty good.
Man, I wrote in my review, in a time where the world is like just cruel and dark and nasty outside, that is a movie that you can sit down and watch and just forget about everything.
It looks like one of those movies I like. When you're done with it, it's just like, oh, maybe we're not doomed to destroy each other.
That's true. But it definitely has a good vibe feeling about it. And then I checked out some gangster flicks to get ready for today's episode.
Just real quick, I saw the Crimes of Grindelwald in the theater.
I did too.
I wasn't a big fan of it. I like the first one better. The extended version of it, is there like more, like what's in the extended version?
I haven't seen the theatrical version.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just watched the theatrical.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't go see that in theaters, so I might have watched the extended cut. I just didn't.
Truthfully, it just left me wanting more, and I've got more questions than answers right now, especially with like Queenie and.
I didn't finish it.
Is it kind of like Prometheus? Like after you watch it, you're just like, I don't understand what's going on.
I mean, I understand, but I want to know more of why.
And we won't touch too much on it because I know it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. So I didn't finish it. But you told me about Neverland, and
how far did you? Well,
I got
without spoilers. How far did you get it?
I got an hour and 30 minutes into the first one.
Okay.
So I had like 25 minutes left. I'm not gonna sit there and completely say that I'm on. I don't know what side of the fence I'm on, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Just in that first hour and a half, I mean, I didn't finish it, but
it really makes you like. You probably question. You probably have questions.
Yeah. The only questions I have that are like so far is like, even the parents were say the parents were starstruck.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't seem like they even in the documentary they still act nonchalant, like, you know, no big deal. My kid got raped by Michael Jackson. He got touched. Told him to bend over. You know, none of that stuff. Like, if that was me and I was the parent, you know, I would completely. I don't know if I'd be able to sit there and do the interview.
Right.
And they just act like it's no big deal.
Well, the American boy, his mom had like a smile on her face the whole time. It was like, you wouldn't be doing that.
And then you know what also get me is the Pepsi commercial kid. He's a fucking actor.
Yeah.
Now the one who was from Australia, he had tears in his eyes. He felt more genuine.
Yes, you could believe the way he's telling his story. You could believe it.
Right.
He felt organic.
Yeah.
But the Pepsi Kid commercial to me was just, you know, you have your thoughts, and I wondered. I mean, the dude's been dead for 8-9 years now.
10 years.
10 years. Well, fuck, 10 years. I mean, it's like kicking a dead horse while he's down. What the fuck are you gonna get out of this?
A lot.
But I did see that HBO did not let those two the two accusers. HBO did not let them meet until after everything was filmed. I saw that. I read that. I do want to get to the Oprah interview.
Yeah, the Oprah interview is
because Oprah and Michael's history is, you know.
I'll let you watch it. I won't say anything.
So,
when you get there,
if Oprah can convince me, that's something.
Yeah.
But man, it looks like talkable movie news. You guys want to get into today's top 5?
Absolutely.
Honestly, I just want to backtrack just about 5 seconds. So was Oprah and Michael Jackson not really keen on each other, or were they like enemies, or like I've never really followed Michael Jackson nor Oprah.
Well, you gotta look at like how they were both brought up and what kind of people they were, and
so they're similar people, so
they
were
were
probably okay with
they got
each
along
other.
very very well, at least from what I've read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're saying if Oprah can convince you, then you're pretty.
Because I mean, at least throughout the 90s, I've never read anything bad about, you know.
There's never been a feud.
Between Michael and Oprah.
Okay, I just wanted to understand.
It was one of those things that, hey, you know, we grew up in the community, we're strong, we can,
right.
So
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if she can sit there and, you know, tell me that this is, you know, it's just
Like, I'm not a big fan of Michael. I mean, I know his music, of course.
Well, it's just one of those
everyone
things that, I mean, the FBI, he got taken to court. The FBI investigated him, and, nothing came out. And interesting fact, the Pepsi commercial kid, Michael asked him to get up on testify, and he said Michael never done anything to me. He was for Michael, and the accuser was accusing Michael, and the Pepsi commercial kid said, hey, he never done anything like that to me. So now that this documentary came out, did he just rat on himself that he lied under oath?
That, and it's just like, did Michael pay him off? Who knows?
I mean, $20 million, because I heard that's what the accusers got in the 90s was $20 million apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and then the Australian kid, Michael asked him to, as well, supposedly, to testify, and he didn't even get up there.
Right.
So, I'll finish that probably tomorrow and let you guys know about next week.
Right.
But it's definitely an interesting watch. It's on HBO now, HBO Go. Go check it out. So now, man, we are getting into today's top 5. I have some honorable mentions. I don't know if you guys do.
Well, tell them what the top 5 is.
This week, the top 5 is... Alright, that brings us into today's top 5, and we talked about it last week. We didn't know what we were going to cover as far as top 5 goes. We were like, should we do top 5 Leo movies, top 5 Martin Scorsese films? But this week we are doing top 5 gangster flicks. And Zach, I'm going to ask you this question first. What defines a gangster movie to you?
Yeah, I was talking to someone about this through the weekend. Gangster... a flick. When I think of gangster, I think of like The Departed or The Godfather or
50 Cent.
That too. I guess it really just. I guess you could do gangster or / like assassin, hitman type film, because I took it off my list, but originally I had Collateral in my top 5, where Tom Cruise is playing a hitman.
That could be. I think that could be considered a gangster movie.
Yeah. So I mean, it really, depending on how you define gangster, it's.
I was talking to Ed about this, and I think a John Wick movie could be classified as a gangster movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, to me, some of these top 5 things, it's fun that we're just going to go over. But I mean, like for me, for example, a gangster to me is somebody who wears a belt and doesn't sag. Right? That's a gangster. But we'll get into some honorable mentions. I guess I'll go first. Honorable mentions. I'm gonna go with Casino. If you guys have seen that, Scarface, and The Untouchables. Those are some of my favorite honorable mentions. Ed, what about you? You have any honorable mentions or no?
I do not.
Zach?
Yeah, I have 3. One of them almost made it into my top 5. Black Mass with Johnny Depp, where he's playing Whitey Bulger, ironically enough. American History X with Edward Norton, and Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. That's kind of like a 40s...
American History X is so good.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Ed, you want to go with your number 5?
Yeah, truthfully, with my number 5, I would have to say Boys in the Hood. They didn't wear belts, specifically Cuba Gooding Jr. But yeah, that film is just kind of a coming of age film, I should say, for a lot of people. I mean, on their own. It had the newer style of gangs, definitely, but I've still got to say it's one of my more favorite, I guess you'd call it, urban gang films, and it's actually told in a way that's really, really well written, in my opinion. But yeah, I've got to say that would be my number 5. What's yours?
I'll go ahead and do my number 5. My number 5 for me is, I think we're all going to have it on our list somewhere, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way. The Godfather. I think we talked about The Godfather.
You have 4 more movies above.
I know.
This better be good.
I was trying to do something different because I knew we were all going to have The Godfather.
Or else
so
they might make a fucking film about this later on.
I wanted
He
to do
hasn't
something
seen it.
different.
That's
Get
Edward
out.
at
Just get out.
gmail.com.
Get out.
So you got Godfather number 4. Or number 5. I want to talk about this for a little bit. What is some of your inspirationals for putting The Godfather up there? Like, some people have the Holy Bible. I have the Godfather trilogy. Well, I mean, some people don't like the length of it. What about you?
I don't mind it. Like it's only like 2 hours and like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's even part 2 is even longer than that. It's actually one of those films that for me I have to be in the mood to watch The Godfather. It's not something I can be just like, hey, I'm just gonna turn on The Godfather,
So set up some candles.
Well, put some essence around the room. Yeah.
So you got The Godfather at number 5.
What do you got at number 5?
I'm gonna have Carlito's Way. This is a film that I almost left out, but I watched this over Casino, and man, it's kind of it's a different pick because it's a different kind of gangster film. You get Al Pacino's character, decades after he's been kind of like the big shot as far as gangster goes, and then Sean Penn's character as Kleinfeld, the lawyer. What a fucking rat bastard he is in this movie.
Rats all deserve to be killed.
Have you seen Carlito's Way?
I haven't, no.
They have a remake, or it's not a remake, it's kind of like a prequel. But Carlito's Way is a Puerto Rican, former convicted, just released from prison, pledges to stay away from drugs, violence, despite the pressures of being surrounded by it.
But you gotta add women in there too, because women get you in all kinds of fucking trouble.
But it stars John Leguizamo, Sean Penn, Luis Guzman, and Al Pacino.
See, I was watching most of that with you, and that, I was about to say, I think I seen maybe half to 2/3, and that was a hell of a movie right there, honestly.
It's different. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Almost put Scarface up in there, but or Casino. Casino's fucking brutal too. But, Ed, what's your number 4?
My number 4, I'd probably have to say Public Enemies. I like Johnny Depp quite a bit, and I thought he played pretty damn well in this. It's been a little bit since I've actually seen it, but I mean, you kind of know how Elliot Ness, is portrayed in
That's
that.
Channing Tatum's in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Briefly.
yeah, but definitely a good film to check out in my opinion. So
Christian Bale in that movie too.
The one thing is just like Johnny Depp is like spot on. Looks like John Dillinger.
Yeah, and I mean, with the movements, the actions, and even how he was set up and all that different. Because I like the way they made that red dress really stand out in that scene. So yeah, I've got to say I love that movie.
Zach, my number 4 is a film that like really I forgot about until we started. I just put in like just gangster films on Google. My number 4 is Gran Torino. Clint Eastwood.
Told you about that. I was like, I consider that a gangster movie.
Yeah, that even though it's really more about like
how an old man defeats a gang.
Well, yeah, but like Clint Eastwood just like lashing out on this kid who's doesn't want to be in that life, so he kind of like takes him on as like a ward or whatever. It's just like really good.
He wasn't about the thug life at all.
Is that something you had to like recent watch, or do you know if that's available on Netflix, or do you own that movie? Or
I own it.
You own it?
I saw it in the theater and I was like, oh yeah, like that's gotta be on my list.
No, yeah, that's the ending is one of those that you're just like fuck.
Kind of remade the Gran Torino an epic classic again, and I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the vehicle itself.
Mm-hmm.
Ford Gran Torino. You don't hear much of those, honestly. It's a rare thing.
Here's looking.
I'm being stirred out like a fucking mule in a pasture.
Number 4 for me is gonna be. Fuck you. What the fuck you say? Stomp your
I
fucking
said
head.
old fucking yellow, you asshole.
Number 4. Number 4 for me is gonna be The Godfather Part 2.
Padus.
The early life of Vito Corleone in the 1920s, New York City is portrayed while his son Michael expands and tightens his grip on the family crime syndicate.
You had that at number 4?
I have Godfather Part 2 at number 4.
Yeah, you got a fucking problem with that?
Still starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is added into the mix as he plays a young Vito. Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton. Pretty much the same exact cast from the first one is in this one. Yeah, like you said, Zach, it's 3 hours and 22 minutes. But man, how fucking different is this one going back and compared to the first one? Francis Ford Coppola is surprisingly didn't make it on any of our directors list a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he really didn't want to do a part 2. Like,
Yeah.
he wanted to do one, that's it. But the studio was like, listen, you
Look how much money that was.
we
thrown
got an
out for
Oscar,
it.
you need to do another one.
And I mean, fuck. Like we were talking about this during the Oscar week, that The Godfather is only like this and the Lord of the Rings trilogy is the only ones that every year those movies came out they got nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, that's true.
Ed, what about you? We're going. Your number 3.
Number 3, I would actually have to put one of my favorite films, Pulp Fiction, and it's more because it's more of a kind of novelty film, if you will. It is a gang film, but it's not strictly or mostly a gang film. So I'd have to put that in number 3. If you want a damn good laugh, or if you're, a Quentin Tarantino film fan, just watch this if you haven't, because if you like Quentin Tarantino's work, I'm surprised you haven't seen this.
It's definitely one of the most influential films probably in the last, 20 years.
I mean, I'm a mushroom cloud land motherfucker.
There's a lot of people out there that don't know what the fuck you just said. Okay, first off. And there's a lot of people who I've read recently that like Quentin Tarantino, but one of the movies they have a hard time latching onto is Pulp Fiction because it's the way it's shot, the way he's written it. Explain how Pulp Fiction was for you, because at first you didn't like it, you didn't get it, but now explain it to somebody who's out there who hasn't seen it. Would you just tell them to just sit there with an open mind and be quiet and watch the movie, or?
Well, I mean, definitely.
What drug do you want to like?
Okay, so when I was a kid, I thought this was I'd never seen a scene or even heard a line from this movie when I was a kid. So I thought it was just a boring, stupid ass, in a way, Office Space kind of deal. That's what I thought it was. Oh. I didn't know what it was until I seen a couple scenes that I thought were funny, and I researched where those scenes came from.
So did you then have to go? Did you go rent it? Did you go buy it? And then you just sat down and watched it, or?
Well, I mean, specifically the scene I'm talking about was the diner scene, and it was Buddy interacting with
his wife.
Samuel L. Jackson's character. I always forget the names of Samuel L. Jackson's character, but those two interacting with each other over the wallet situation. That was the scene I'm talking about, and I thought that was just empowering and hilarious, to be honest, because you had him by the balls.
So you went back, you rewatched it, the whole thing. You sat down all at once and watched it.
Yeah, I sat down at once and watched it, and I mean, personally, I fell in love with the movie. I thought
one word to describe it, to maybe get somebody out there who hasn't seen it.
Variety.
It's a good word.
Simply because you got, I think, 3, maybe 4 stories weaving into one. And all the characters are predominantly well-known actors, played by predominantly well-known actors. So you've got John Travolta. I think this was a bit after Grease, for that matter.
Grease was like in the...
I think it was 88 or something like that. So I mean, this isn't set in '94, but I mean, this was kind of around that time. But Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, if you like a bit of language, come on, man.
Samuel L. Jackson was actually in Carlito's Way.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want...
Not Carlito's Way. Sorry, my bad.
Scarface.
My film came up.
And actually, one thing that I've heard that's a fact that's really funny, the talk that Samuel L. Jackson had with that buddy in the diner, And what really saved him and everybody, a guy actually has done in real life and saved an entire diner from getting shot up.
So
literally.
Ed says Variety, guys. If you haven't seen it, go check out Pulp Fiction.
Definitely.
Zach, what about your number 3?
My number 3 is actually a Scorsese film that I feel like, honestly, this one's kind of been overlooked in his filmography. Another Leonardo DiCaprio joint, Gangs of New York.
Very
Gangs, literally in the title.
Very unappreciated film, I think.
I mean, it has one of your favorite actors, Daniel Day-Lewis, in it.
What do you like? Why is that? Why do you think that's one of those movies that, like, when you think of Scorsese, somebody doesn't automatically think of Gangs of New York? Like, to me, look at that cast, and you're like, God damn, what a cast that is.
I mean, you have Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, Cameron Diaz.
Which one of those is not like the other?
No. You know, honestly, I think I kind of think this was kind of like a resurgence for Scorsese, because he kind of hadn't done anything before Gangs of New York.
Right.
Not like big.
He
I think
takes his
Casino
time.
was his last film that he did before Gangs of New York. I could be wrong.
So he's the Daniel Day-Lewis of directors.
Yes, like I feel like, but then once he did Gangs of New York, that's when he did like The Aviator. It was like a streak with Leonardo DiCaprio, which is still going on. And it's not really, I mean, it is, but it isn't subject matter that he's well known for. It's obviously about gangs and the era of America that not a lot of people know about. But
that's true. That is an interesting film, and that was that's another film that I think he got nominated for Best Director, and Leo got nominated. So
I think the song by U2, "The Hands That Made America," I think it won Best Original Song. So, Juan, what's your number 3?
Going in at number 3 is what we're getting into today, so I won't spend too much time on it. I had a very hard fucking time, but in a span of 2 days, I watched all my top 3 movies, and this is what I felt inside. Number 3 for me is going to be The Departed. What else can you say? We're covering it today. Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson. I'm not going to touch any more on it. Because that's what we're getting into today. So, Departed, number 3 for me. Ed?
What's your number 2?
Number 2. Well, this one was a little bit of a hard pick, but one is more of a personal favorite than the other. This one is the other. And that'd be Scarface. Number 2 for me is Scarface. I mean, shit. Tony Montana. You know, like if you... Okay. If you don't recognize The Departed, I can't get it, but I guess. But if you don't recognize Scarface for how damn long this movie's been around,
and how long,
well, not only that, but how iconic of different lines.
It's the same runtime as Godfather.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many different iconic lines it has, and how many different
I bet it is fucking cockroaches.
I mean, you could go on and on with it. You really could. But I mean, and on top of that, what a lot of people don't know is it is a remake, basically.
It is a remake.
Yeah.
Not basically. Another thing I find interesting is they're planning on rebooting this again.
Damn.
It's so interesting that you picked Scarface, but what do you think of a little bit of the incest kind of familiarity with it? We had kind of like a love incest with his sister, didn't he?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, I've only seen Scarface once, so I couldn't.
Well, I mean, he
confirm.
didn't do anything, but he was extremely protective of, like, to the point of lover interest protective. So I mean, it didn't fully go into that, but it borderlined it. And I mean, I can get it. I've got a little sister myself, but
you wouldn't kiss your sister on the lips, would you?
No. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the guy she's dating right now, I think he's a kick-ass guy. I really do. He seems nice. She seems happy. I'm good. So simple as that.
But the original Scarface was 1932. It's pretty interesting. And then this one was 1983. They do have there's rumor that if they do reboot it, Oscar Isaac might be Tony Montana,
which would be interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be badass.
Is James Cagney in the original? I think he is, isn't he?
We'll double check that for sure. I had it popped up in my... No.
No, he's not. Okay.
Going into your number 2, Zach, what do you got for number 2?
Number 2, you just mentioned, we're going to talk about it here in a minute, The Departed. I really didn't want to put it in my top 10, but after I rewatched it, I was like, God damn,
yeah.
I have to.
That's the same. I was going to take that out and put Casino up there, because I'm like, we're going to talk about it anyway. But now thinking about it, this should have been like last week's episode, and we could have said top 5 gangster films, not including The Departed.
Yeah.
Which, if we were to do that, Casino's in my top 5. So going in there with me today, there's a huge debate on which one is better, but to me, my number 2 is going to be Goodfellas. First off, I'm putting you all on the spot. Have you seen Goodfellas?
Yes.
You have seen Goodfellas. Goodfellas?
I've seen Goodfellas, yeah. I just saw it for the first time last year, actually.
Why the fuck did this not win Best Picture?
What was it up against? Go ahead and talk about one. I'll look it up.
The story of Henry Hill and his life in the mob, covering his relationships with his wife, Karen Hill, and his mob partners, Jimmy Conway and Tommy DeVito, in the Italian-American crime family. Directed by Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci. Man, the way this fucking movie starts off. Have you... So you saw it for the first time last year then, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Did you like it?
I liked it. I can understand why people would consider this is probably either achievement or easily one of his best films. Compared to The Departed, I think The Departed tastes better.
That's true.
I think Goodfellas just has some slow spots here and there.
That's true.
The movie that won Best Picture that year was Dancing with Wolves.
That's a corny ass movie.
It's a shame.
And that was the same year, actually, that The Godfather Part 3 was nominated. So, 2 hugely big gangster films.
It only won, Joe Pesci won an Oscar for this one for Best Supporting Actor in a leading role. Which, I mean...
He was good in it. Okay.
My God, that dude was a fucking maniac.
Are you a fucking wise guy?
But
we'll see him later this year in The Irishman. So, another Scorsese film.
But for me, number 2 is Goodfellas, which I highly recommend you guys check it out, which is also on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
So, Ed, what about you? What's your number 1?
What's your number 1?
Well, kind of in the ropes right now. The Departed. The only reason any of the Godfathers have not made it on here is because I have not actually seen any of the Godfathers. I'm sorry, and probably gonna go hang myself and cry after that later on tonight. So let's have a fun night.
You probably should.
Yeah, I figured you're an asshole.
If you need them, I can let you borrow them.
Oh, you've got.
I have all 3 of them.
You've got a noose.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about the movies, but
I don't have one that big.
Damn. Okay. But yeah, Departed. I mean, we'll get into it later on. But
yeah,
I've got to say, it's a hell of a movie. Twists, turns, excitement, surprise, motherfucker. Like all kinds of surprises.
We'll talk about that.
It's an amazing movie. Simply.
It is an amazing movie.
I'll round out my top 5. Number 1 is Edward, you bastard. You actually already mentioned it.
Oh yeah.
Was Public Enemies.
Yeah.
I really, really love that movie. I think it's probably my top 5. I really enjoy that. And Johnny Depp, I think, honestly,
how did that movie not get nominated for nothing?
I think that's one of Johnny Depp's best performances. I think he's so good in that film. And at the time, I was just starting to do college classes, and I had to do a paper about the FBI. And that movie came out that summer, so I was like, oh, heck yeah. So, Juan, wrap it up.
Not the first time you've been told that.
Not the first time I had to rush through a 5-segment thing. But to me, it's the movie that, I mean, I'll probably go to my dying grave here in a few years saying that it's one of the best movies that I've ever seen, and it's The Godfather.
So you splooged?
I did splooge today. I watched it. I woke up, I watched it, and I had a fucking nut session right after it was over.
Originally I thought you had the third one in your top.
I did have the third one in my top.
Without spoilers, what do you think about the third one? Do you think it's as bad as everyone says it is?
It's not, but when you compare
the first two to it,
exactly.
It's not that good.
Well, it's not that good, but it felt rushed.
Yeah.
I felt like it was one of those things that you said the studio probably wanted the third one, they wanted the trilogy, they wanted that money, and it's long. By the way, you guys want to know about a long movie. One that was also almost in my top 5 was Once Upon a Time in America, 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
With Robert De Niro. That was one of the ones that was almost going to be in mine. But I don't know. I've latched on to gangster flicks. I don't know why. I grew up with them. Probably shouldn't have been watching them at a young age, but I did.
There's a lot more films that you shouldn't have been watching when you were younger.
Backward Paradise was one. But Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, you really get a feel for Marlon Brando when he goes and picks up some fruit and he just gets blasted from behind. You're like, that's the kind of lifestyle some real people actually live.
Yeah.
But the cast, let me go through this cast right quick. You got Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Diane Keaton, Robert Duvall, and then in the second one you get Robert De Niro, Tila Sher. How do you ever pronounce her name? She was the wife in Rocky.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She was in this one. She's in all 3 of them.
She plays the sister.
She plays the sister.
Right.
She's the one that gets beat actually, and they fucking
James Caan and Robert Duvall's in, I think, both of them as well.
Yep. But man, you asked me about the third one, and I think it's just as good.
It's not as memorable as the first two, but I mean, I still enjoy it.
When you have 2 movies that are just A+ all around it, then you have this one movie that probably comes out, give it an A rating, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's gonna wrap out our top 5 this week. Top 5 gangster flicks. Next week should be interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Well, guys, let's cut into the meat and potatoes of what we got into today.
Microsoft went down 3 points.
Just had to do it.
Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal? Anyway, today we're going to do The Departed, and it is actually being shown in the Banquet Cinema Pub at 800 Northwest 4th Street at 6:30 today. The Departed. This movie has aged like a fine fucking wine, has it not? Had a release date of October 6th, 2006. 4 Oscar wins, including Best Picture and
Best Director for Scorsese.
Finally. Yeah. So, we'll get into it. Had a $90 million budget, made $291.5 million at the box office. So it's not like this movie was not a success. Something I didn't know that I found out today, though, that it was a loosely based story of Whitey Bulger.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
And it's also a remake of I believe it.
Hong Kong remake
called Internal Affairs.
Yep. So getting into this movie, I thought it was pretty cool that we picked something on St. Patrick's Day about an Irish gang monster movie.
Monster movie?
Mobster.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Ed, first thoughts, you've seen it. We'll kind of go on based on everybody's reaction here pretty much. Why was this movie your number 1?
Oh, like I said, surprises, twists. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have 4 leading men, literally 4 leading men. Easily a couple more, at least.
Let's not forget Alec Baldwin is in this movie. Martin Sheen is in this movie. A few weeks ago when I mentioned it on my Oscars episode, Martin Sheen was my guy who was like underappreciated in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You see the way Martin Sheen is in this movie, all the way going back to the very first time you see him in the movie, all the way until he, spoiler heavy after this, now we're spoiler heavy in this movie.
Spoilers. Go watch it on Netflix. Stop the episode and go watch it on Netflix and come back.
Spoilers, you fuckers.
So, it's definitely one of those movies. Go check it out. It's worth a watch. It's got to be on my top 10 of all time. What about you guys?
Well, I mean, I had my number 1 in gangster films, so
To me,
if you were stuck on a desert island, I would say I would like to have this. That it's a movie that you would never get bored with.
Oh no.
You know.
Especially with that Mark Walberg. Plays
an undercover cop and a mole in the police attempt to identify each other while infiltrating an Irish gang in South Boston. Underrated Martin Sheen as Queen in this movie.
Alec Baldwin was really good.
I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but
Vera Farmiga. I think that was
The
her,
Conjuring.
Yeah, I think that was her coming out party. Like,
Yes.
hey, this actress could do
Anthony
something.
Anderson, Alec Baldwin, Kevin Garrigan from everybody remembers him as the uncle from Rules Don't Break, or Don't Break. Have to check it out. But he's the mobster, goofy guy in Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, the only one that kind of doesn't do justice, I think, fully to the role, like, Matt Damon, I think, holds that role and plays it very well. Same with Leo. Same with all four of the
Matt, I don't know about
leads,
you guys,
what I
but Matt Damon wanted me to punch him. I couldn't stand that fucking character.
Well, right, but I mean,
he
was
did his
supposed to.
job.
Yeah.
Exactly, he did his job. But
in this grand scheme of things, I mean, you have Leo, you have Jack Nicholson, you have Mark Walberg, Martin Sheen. We all agree, Matt Damon did an incredible job. But I mean, like, I feel like he just kind of got like shuffled in. It's like, okay, Matt Damon's in this movie.
That's true.
But I mean, like Anthony Anderson, I'm sorry, but anybody could have played that role. Literally, I mean.
That's true, but I mean, you did get the sense of when you did see his character and it was portrayed by Anthony Anderson, you felt you could trust that guy.
Well,
and I think
yeah.
that's what Martin
That's
Scorsese
true,
was
okay.
wanting for this role was
Yeah.
because if you notice they tie him and Leo at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then in the end you're like, Leo, dude, that's somebody you can end up trusting.
Yeah.
You knew he wasn't going to be turn his back on anybody.
Yeah.
Well,
throughout the whole movie, I will say this movie does a very good job of like you're always guessing who is on what side.
Yeah,
regardless
except
of
for
Leo and Matt.
Right.
Actually, one thing that I thought was very interesting, which I mean, I know it's Matt Damon's character, but the little boy in the beginning.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, but I mean, like the first time I ever saw it, I was like, is this Matt Damon's character or is this Leo's character? You know what I mean? Like, it could swing, like, you could swing it either way, just a little bit different of writing, just a little bit. You know what I mean? Jack Nicholson groomed him up to go into the police to fucking.
Well, if he didn't say his name in the beginning,
right.
Well, not only that, they could have easily, the scene. What the scene does is you see Jack Nicholson talking to the kid. There's a close up on the little boy's face, and it could have easily cut to Leo, but it cuts to Matt. And it's like, okay, we know who we're dealing with.
Yeah. Another interesting fact is it took 22 minutes exactly almost for the Departed to show up on the screen, like.
For the title,
the name title. So
but it opens up like when the title hits you, it's like yes.
Yeah. I don't know how big of a role he had in it, but Brad Pitt was the producer in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Producers nowadays means they could just fucking fund a movie.
Pretty much.
I think it was Matt Damon's company, Claim B, who was one of the distributors of the film. So that's how he got it.
Fucking Ben Affleck could have been in this movie.
Probably.
Well, honestly,
I could have seen him. He's from Boston. I think.
Yeah.
I could have seen him doing something like this too.
Do you think he could have played Leo's part and be Matt and going back to that?
Honestly, that might be pretty interesting. But Scorsese, not for some reason, but he's got a hard on for Leo, and a lot of his fucking roles. I don't think anybody can touch Leo.
No.
So.
Especially Ed's favorite film, The Wolf of Wall Street.
I wonder if Matt damon pitched Ben Affleck. It would have been.
I'm sure.
I would like to, been a fun.
I mean, the only one who can touch Leo in Wolf of Wall Street was his woman. So.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Let's not to mention some of the other actors that are in this that feel like a fucking gangster. Ray Winstone played Mr. French. You guys, Mr. French in this movie was.
Right. Ray Winstone, he had a decent track record after The Departed. He was I think his next film was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones, and then he did, I don't know if you guys ever saw Edge of Darkness with Mel Gibson.
Oh my god, that movie.
Yeah.
That's another one that's just kind of lost and forgot about. But we'll touch back on Madeline, played by Vera, from The Conjuring You said this might have been her breakout role. What did you think as far as...
She's up in... She will be seen later this summer in Godzilla King of the Monsters.
She's fucking what?
She's in between, like, these two characters, these two iconic actors.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it was like for her in, you know, to be on a movie like this with all these people surrounding her? Even though her role's not big, but it's bigger than what people, you know,
She shares scenes with Matt and Leo, and that's predominantly it. There's no contact with Jack Nicholson, Mark Walberg, any of the other characters. But still, to be...
Well, I mean, her character has a lot of significance to the film, because literally she's the one who outs Matt Damon, basically, that people know you're a rat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know.
Is she... You know, when I rewatched this last time, I had questions after the movie. Is that Leo or Matt's baby?
Leo.
It's Leo's?
Leo's,
okay.
yeah.
Because she was crying up.
William Costigan's baby.
So we'll go into a little bit more. We touched on some of the characters. With an all-star cast like this...
I just want to say, like, Jack Nicholson, like, he was such a badass in this film. Like, when you open up and it's like a silhouette of the character just walking by and he has, like, this dialogue about, you know, being an Irishman and everything, you're just like, oh my god, like...
You know what scene I enjoy him for the most in this? And it's in our new poster, the one that you edited, is when he's walked out and he's covered in blood. And he's just like this.
It was just usual for him was...
Or that, or the cocaine scene, where he throws cocaine on that chick and he's like... pretty much eat her out until she's numb. And it's one of those movies that's, I mean...
Honestly, my favorite scene out of the whole film, which I think we'll save that segment to the end, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it, is just when Leo and Jack are just talking about there being a rat in his crew, and he's like drawing the picture, and, you know, it's just like, it's just simple a dialogue scene, but it's just so well done.
It's a powerful scene.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. You know, and with that, you've got to have powerful dialogue. But, I mean, words are just words until someone puts the words in effect. And you sometimes have to have that right voice just to get the perfect amount of power, poise, and literal just execution of those words. Because if you don't have that, I mean, the great scene that, you know, your money scene isn't going to be shit if you don't have that right person. And I mean, Jack Nicholson has proven himself time and time again that as long as you give him something good, give him good direction, he knows what to do with words. He knows what to do with a good scene.
And that's Jack Nicholson being Jack. I mean, he was nominated. He's been nominated forever. But as far as
he wasn't even nominated for this, which is like
he wasn't
so like appalling.
He the last time he won an Oscar was in a leading role for As Good as It Gets with Helen Hunt.
I haven't seen it, so I couldn't
me
tell you.
neither. But he won an Oscar for best leading role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which
he did really good in that.
To me, it's one of his best movies, 1975, and then he won for best supporting actor for Terms of Endearment. 1984. But yeah, man, he did not get nominated for this at all. And actually, the last time he got nominated was 1998.
Damn.
What's
He got nominated for the Golden Globe. I remember that. He didn't win, and so I was like, oh, he's out for the Oscar. Which is still, he should have at least been nominated. But Leo in that same year, he was nominated for Blood Diamond and The Departed. He ultimately got nominated for Blood Diamond, which, you know, he did a really good job in that.
Yeah.
So
is that why you think this movie won Best Picture, going up against some of the other movies in 2006? To me, it deserved it, but like, I mean, fuck, they could have nominated any of those guys for supporting or leads.
Yeah.
Leo and I think Mark was the only one that got nominated. Matt didn't even get nominated.
Wahlberg won though, which surprised the hell out of me when I first saw it. I thought he did an amazing job on it.
Yeah.
You guys didn't have any favorite scenes going into this, or?
I said mine. I have another one, but Ed, go ahead.
There's a few different ones, but I mean, honestly, like, I liked Mark Wahlberg's character a lot in this, and most of the scenes correlate with him, but the last scene before the movie closes, when, you know, the rat has found out who the hell it is and has a cap popped in his ass. And it's Mark Walberg standing there perfectly with, you know, all kinds of different stuff to basically hide his identity of who did what. Oh man, I think that was perfect. A perfect ending for that.
Well,
I would, man, like, there are like so many shocks and turns in this movie. It's just absolutely bonkers.
You want to talk about some of the. You want to talk about. You would like the theater scene. You want to talk about some pure, just like amazing acting in this movie. We're gonna play this clip for you right now, and like you said, it's the scene where Jack discovers that there is a rat, and he's kind of interviewing people, but he really brings Billy in and tries to see who the rat is.
Smell a rat. Jesus Christ. You got a girlfriend?
No, why? What does that matter?
Depends. I'm sure by now you know I got an informer in my outfit. Cop. State East Boston Police Department. I'm not sure.
Jesus Christ. You sure it's not the FBI?
Ain't the FBI. Ex-wife. Old girlfriend. Or stupid. That is what brings you down this business.
Stupid, huh? Well, I guess that leaves me out.
There you get that famous Jack laugh, that Joker laugh. If you guys had a chance to, you know, maybe pick the brain of Martin Scorsese about this film, what would probably be one question you might want to ask him? Ed?
Truthfully, okay, what did the characters ultimately represent? I mean, you know, were they just trying to bring down, you know, Jack's character? Were they trying to, you know, maybe create their own? What was the true intention of? I mean,
I find the appreciation of, like, how it's loosely based off of Whitey.
Right.
Like, I find the appreciation if he still had his own ideas and he still threw his own thoughts in there.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you got the one character as the culmination of what it's portraying basically with Jax, but you know, to me, I'm going, how did you structure the rest of the film? You know, was it just this guy versus this guy? Let's see how smart they are, and you know, all these other characters rolled in. You know, or was it planned out from the beginning that you'd have all these different characters kind of gunning for each other, but nobody knew who the hell each other was? You know, I mean, that's what I want to know. Like,
and how
did it start? What planted the seed after the Whitey Bulger thoughts? You know what I mean?
And then for you, Zach, something I wanted to ask you was, how different is this compared to some of the other Scorsese films you've seen, and why to you is this his definitive movie? Take all the hardware out, Oscars. Pretend he won an Oscar for this one.
Just as a film itself, it's just so damn entertaining. You know, I understand if people say that, like, Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Raging Bull are, you know, his best films. And that's fine, you know, I don't have a problem with those films. To me, they're just... I don't have an emotional attachment to those films.
Right.
I have an emotional attachment to this film because I remember seeing it in the theater. I remember being just absolutely, like, blown away just how, like, smartly structured it was.
I will say this film, compared to his others, it makes you get attached to those characters. The other ones, you get introduced to them, like, oh yeah, you're fine, you know, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. But this one, it not only does it introduce to you these characters, but it gives you something to grab onto. That's probably a reason that I would pay. This one does have a little bit more connection with the characters than the other one.
And I mean, my God, every single time a character goes, it's like that's it for them. You just like, okay, like you love this character, bang, just right in the face. That, I mean, again, spoiler alert. When Martin Sheen like just drops in front of Leo,
God.
I was like, oh my God.
I do want to talk about that scene. To me, that would be one of my. That's the first gut punch in the movie. Was Queenie's death. And Ed, what about you? How did you feel about that scene?
It was a shock to me because honestly, I didn't know what the fuck had happened at first.
He was the most
right, but I mean, it doesn't show who, you know what I mean. But it was just like, holy shit.
And then it's like you're attached to that character because he tells about his son playing football.
Yeah, I mean,
he goes
backstory.
Exactly. You feel a little bit for him, and then he just gets tossed off and just plowed right there in front of Leo. That's the first ball puncher, if you will, in this movie. Is Queenie getting thrown off the roof?
Even to the but even to the extent that Jack Nicholson's character, Frank Costello, when that police shootout, when they're just like getting hit one by one, it's just like, wow. And then the final confrontation between him and Matt Damon is like, you're talking about me being your son, but you could easily just rat me out at moments.
Well, I mean, on top of that, what's funny is with that whole connection thing between those two, you go on with the characters, and he just goes ahead and, like you said, it's, you can go ahead and rat me out at any time, but the thing is, Frank Costello, Matt Damon could have put a lot of heat on his ass, easily, and got him killed easily, but you don't do that.
That was almost like a father figure to him.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, to me, that would have been more understandable and more excusable, I guess you could say, other than you fucking killed him yourself.
Well, you think he wanted?
Damn.
You think he wanted to kill him for himself? A, to get the recognition, and then two, maybe he was like, if I put him behind bars, I'm gonna have to look at that. I'm gonna see him for the rest of my life. It's better off to just do away with him.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not only that, it's just like, at any moment, even if I kept this guy alive, he could just throw me under the bus, and that's it. Which ultimately, he kind of did.
Yeah, it gets us to a little bit later part of the movie, which we'll discuss, the elevator scene.
Oh my God.
Mark Walberg's character.
Yo.
Digman.
Love him.
Are you guys surprised that I know he won best supporting actor for this?
He didn't.
He didn't?
He was nominated.
I thought he won.
He didn't win. He was nominated.
Well, I've got to say, in all honesty, I loved his
character.
character.
Who the fuck won that year then?
Let me look. I'm looking it up.
Because honestly, it reminded me a lot of the other guy's character. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the other guys is as good of a film as this one is, because it's a comedy and it's more of a stupid ass comedy. But as in the same portrayal of language, violence, gung ho with the trigger. The same kind of character. So I think this was kind of a preemptive thought beforehand to have kind of this.
To me, it's an inspiration of his. You can also say that with Ted, because Ted was based in Boston.
Alan Arkin for Little Miss Sunshine won Best Supporting Actor that year.
Oh my God!
Let me tell you who was nominated. It was Alan Arkin ultimately won. Jackie Earle Haley for Little Children, which I haven't seen. Jamon Hunso for Blood Diamond.
Oh, Jamon.
Yeah, his Leo's. Yeah.
Damon Hunsu.
Dijon Mustard.
Yeah.
Dijon Mustard.
Eddie Murphy for Dreamgirls, which
God damn,
which I think was supposed to be the winner on that year, and then Mark Walberg for The Departed.
Probably should have been 1,000 words.
Get the fuck out of here. No disrespect to Alan Arkin or that film, but Mark Walberg.
It's not. Here's what I'll say. I feel like The Departed is one of those films that, like, if we had the Oscars now, everything it was nominated for, it would have won. I've only seen Little Miss Sunshine once. I've never had the desire to see it again.
Right.
That's fucked up.
This for The Departed, that's a movie at least maybe once a year I like to watch it.
Yeah.
And
then if you somehow catch it on TV, it's one of those.
Even though it's edited to the extreme.
But still, it's still one of those movies that you can accidentally watch it a second or third time in that year, in that calendar year, and you'd be fine with it.
No, yeah.
So, but yeah, talking about Mark Walberg now for a little bit. I mean, like you said, he got nominated for The Departed and The Fighter. I thought he won at least one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
Shocked the hell out of me though, but
sorry to ruin your day.
Completely. Mark Walberg though, underappreciated as an actor.
Yeah.
I think. Oh yeah. His last couple films, I haven't seen Instant Family, but
Mile 22.
I didn't like Mile 22.
You didn't like it?
No.
I thought it was good for what it was.
I'm
90-minute
talking
action.
about like his films with
Peter Berg,
Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon.
I think Peter Berg did Mile 22.
He did. There was another one that he did that was really good.
Shooter.
Yeah, but that was
Beyond the Horizon.
Yeah, it was.
Is it Beyond the Horizon or
no? But I mean, yeah, Mark Wahlberg's completely like. I feel like he's just like. He's the Boston guy that like. Oh,
Deepwater Horizon.
Deepwater Horizon. There's one more.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day. That's it.
Well, I mean, he is a Massachusetts native. You know, I mean, he might not be exactly from Boston. I'm not 100% sure.
He's from Boston. He's He's a huge Patriots fan.
Oh yeah, no, I know that, but
you like that one too?
All the Money in the World. I think he was. That's another performance that he was like underrated in. I thought he was really good in that.
Ridley Scott. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the Transformers movies.
Oh God.
Not his fault, by the way.
Not his fault, but
even the comedy movies. You touched on some of his comedy movies.
I mean, honestly, Ted, of course.
Ted 2.
Yeah.
Daddy's Home was hilarious. You
Daddy's
seen that
Home
one?
I haven't seen that one.
No.
You know, there's a lot of
The Gambler.
The Gambler was really good. That's an underrated film.
Wasn't he in the
Lone
Italian
Survivor.
job?
Two Guns. I
Two
forgot about
Guns.
that.
Pain and Gain with The Rock. Broken City.
I haven't seen
Wasn't
that.
he in the Italian job?
Early
in
Yeah,
his
he was in
career?
the Italian Job. Contraband.
The Fighter.
Yeah.
The other guys, which I think you mentioned.
Yeah, the other guys. with
Lovely
Will Ferrell.
Bones.
That's
The
a Peter
Lovely
Jackson
Bones.
flick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Honestly.
The Happening.
Oh God.
Did you not like it?
No. That. Oh.
We Own the Night. Max Payne.
We Own the Night.
Max Payne.
We Own the Night. That's underrated. That came out at the same time as Pride and Glory. That had Edward Norton and Colin Farrell, and I think
Kind of the
people
same
like.
thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've touched a little bit on Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg.
Leo, we'll probably do an episode on him later.
That's true. We are doing an episode on Leo.
Yeah, 'cause you got such a hard on for him.
Yeah, here, feel it. What about Matt Damon?
Not much there.
What Matt Damon, as far as this goes, I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. Nobody likes him, but I want to talk about the elevator scene. And
Fuck him.
we're gonna skip a little bit over and go to it, but he gets caught. Leo's up top waiting for him, puts him in cuffs, and the second time he gets hammered with a gun and he goes straight to the floor. I was thinking to myself when I watched that today, he should have just started bawling and begging for his life. And then when I continue on with the movie, he does that in the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
But he's Jason Bourne.
What kind of perfect writing is that? Like, to make that guy do that in the middle of him getting busted?
It's the realization that, like, look, in the beginning I was such a badass, but the walls are finally caving in on me.
You fucked.
But
You
man,
fucked.
like, once you think Leo has him in, like, by the nuts, the elevator door opens and
By the balls.
just like that. Like
When
I saw that theater, I was like, what?
So that's your reaction first time seeing it. What about the other day when you saw it and that happened?
I knew it was
coming.
but at the same time,
you
it's
still
just
have
like,
that gut, still feel like you got punched in the gut, right?
yeah, because you know Leo's a good guy. You think he's gonna make it through it, but in all Leo DiCaprio films, you know what happens.
He fucking dies.
What about you, Ed?
Man, I just thought it was a huge, not catastrophe, but a huge just. It was a brilliant works, just because of how they all found out about each other. It was brilliance, because you got to be playing several different minds against each other. Because that's the thing, when you're writing a screenplay or a book or anything like that, even dialogue, you have to be basically fighting with yourself, literally. So with that, for him to go ahead and be like, okay, I'm doing this, so how can I do this? Well, this guy's going to do that. Okay, I need to counter it with this. This would be a good counter. Wouldn't see it coming very much, but you might. I mean, you know, there's a lot, like, okay, forgive me, but with, you know, Endgame and Infinity Wars. With Infinity Wars, you know, I mean, they name dropped Avengers 4. Tony did.
Yeah.
Now we're in the Endgame, you know. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's so many different clues in every Marvel film that it's not even funny. I actually just seen Ant-Man versus the Wasp. Oh, another one.
Did you like it?
Not too bad, not too bad. I will go ahead and take my Paul Rudd knockdown back.
Do you like the second one better than the first one?
Yes, very much so. Probably about 40% more. So yeah, that's a recent watches. My bad about that. I didn't forget until just now. But taking that, you know, you can have different nods, or you can keep it copacetic and just have the story play out. And this one just has the story play out and makes you a detective, so you have to figure out. You know, of course, you get to see into each other's lives, but will they find each other? How will they find each other? You know what I mean?
And really, if you really think about it, each character kind of get like each character wraps up the other storyline.
Yeah.
You know, Matt does Jack, Leo, not so much Matt, but one of the other characters, and Matt wraps up their characters, and then Mark wraps up Matt. If that makes any sense.
The best thing I liked about it is I didn't think it was going to happen, but in most of your Scorsese films, they all fucking die at the end. And it kind of had the same ending as, I mean, it was definitely different from all the others. Man, I really wish this film got a better Blu-ray or digital release. We've talked about it in some of the horror episodes. We'll talk about what we watched it on. And man, they really only had the standard Blu-ray copy or DVD copy.
I actually have the Steelbook version on DVD.
But like,
I feel like
not enough.
I don't think it's appreciated more, but I feel like it could be one of those Criterion films that come out like 20 years after its release, and it's like, you know, forever be.
What I don't appreciate about it though is talk about movies that the Criterion puts out, which is a very interesting point. Tell me, a lot of the people don't know out there. What does the Criterion do for the film that it picks in for its initial release?
For its initial release, I'm trying to think of a good.
Like one, I got a few.
You have the Curious Case of Benjamin Button,
right? That one almost came right out on.
Yeah,
Criterion.
it was like when it was released on Criterion. Most of the time for Criterion, it has to be out like
10 years,
and then they'll do it. For Benjamin Button, what normally, for those that you do not know, for those of you that do not know Criterion, it's basically like it always has cool designs on the box, and then it also has like a few. Oh God, I might have to borrow this actually. So what it does, it has like a hand pick of like special features commentary, and then they do like this really cool like little booklet about, and then someone does like an essay about the film, like its importance, why people should watch it. And I appreciate it.
It's almost like a small podcast inside of a movie.
Exactly.
So,
and the one I'm holding in my hand is Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler, so that should be a heads up for next weekend.
That should tell you what's in my top 5.
That's what she said.
But I'm kind of surprised. Do you know what maybe they pick, or is it a committee that maybe picked? Because this would be, if there's a fucking petition to be signed, this one should fucking be a Criterion release.
It just varies. Like every month, there's this on the Blu-ray.com. They have like they'll announce like what the upcoming releases are.
High Def Digest, you do that one.
Mm-hmm. Like a couple months ago, I think in January they released some like a Hot with Marilyn Monroe. You know, it really depends. Like I have. The Criterions I have is Anatomy of a Murder. They released Silence of the Lambs.
That's a beautiful
Criterion.
copy. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I have that one. It's so good. And then Rebecca, Alfred Hitchcock, and the original Godzilla I have on Criterion. So it just varies. But I could see, like I was saying, The Departed could be one of those films that they re-release on Criterion.
And then they'll pick movies that I'm just like, and I bought it because it was Criterion, but Personal Shoppers with Kristen Stewart.
I haven't seen it.
It's good, it's weird, but that got a Criterion release.
Yeah.
And I'm just, you know...
Well, I mean, you know, Kristen Stewart, you know, they say that don't fear the man that has done 10,000 techniques once. Fear the man that does one technique 10,000 times. And with Kristen Stewart, she does one technique very, very well. One face, and that's all she needs. I mean, look at that Twilight series.
Those are we're definitely going to cover Twilight this year, too.
Shut up. Shut up.
Well, if
I can't sit through this.
I got the box set over there.
I won't say anything about that.
I'd rather watch the director's cut of 50 Shades of Grey, personally.
I bet you would. Or Harry Twatter and the Shaved Stone.
Oh yeah, I've watched that. I watched that every night before bed.
Anyway,
we picked out some favorite scenes. Martin Scorsese, to me, if you guys had to do would this be in your top 5 all time? All time.
Just personal favorite films?
Yeah.
I'll let you answer that. You go ahead.
To me, like you said, if you were surrounded on a desert island with one TV, one player, and one film, or 5 films, this would be in one of my 5s. I could probably watch this tomorrow and find something different that I didn't know about it, and then still just be entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd probably be number 4 on mine. Just because of how I view the film. Basically, like I've said, it's a mastery of works. Well thought out, well planned, well executed, and I mean, don't get me wrong, when you have a plan that's well thought out and executed correctly, well, you're doing something good. So,
not to mention the soundtrack is
the
one
soundtrack
that's
is just incredible,
right?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they could have just gone with Dropkick Murphys, and that's all it needed.
Well, I mean, some of the Dropkick Murphy songs are like too hardcore.
But I mean, hey, fuck.
But for this movie, it's like
they used the right one though.
Right.
That's the only one they needed, and
I mean, it's just like when I think St. Paddy's Day, and I think of movies, I think of 2 different movies.
Oh, something else.
This one, The Departed, and Boondock Saints. Those are the 2 that I definitely think of. And they both are similar in ways, but very different in a lot of ways too. But
and something that I catched on the last time was the song "Baby Blue" is in The Departed. It's also what Breaking Bad goes out to, which is cool. It's kind of cool. But guys, do you want to do? Start doing like.
What's your with this movie favorite scene? What about your favorite kill? If you could pick one kill, what was the one that just got you? For me, even though Leo was just like bam, to me it would be Queenie, and I'll tell you here in just a second. After. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and give our star rating for The Departed. It's one of those movies that. Like we think it deserves a Criterion release. We'll start with you, Zach. The Departed. What would you give it?
I know you guys. You can't see his face like right in mine. Just like, don't fuck this up, man. 10 out of 10, man. I mean, this is a perfect film. I would want to watch it again probably tomorrow or something. It's definitely a classic. It's definitely one of Scorsese's best film. Ed, what you gonna give it?
A fucking 3 out of 10. This is a piece of. No, I'm just kidding. I'd
You
say
wanna
9.5 strong. Yeah, let's fucking go. I'm ready to meet death. I mean, shit, she was fucking hot in Thor Ragnarok, so fuck it. No, I'd say 9.5 out of 10. I don't really have any whatevers. I love the film.
You love the film. 9.5. What does the movie have to be to get a 10? I'm just asking you. Like if I'm out
Is
there.
Evil Dead a 10 out of 10?
No.
Yeah,
I'm being
like
serious. Like it's You gave it a 6, you fucker.
Hey,
I'm being
I'll
serious.
lower it every
If somebody's out there and they want to know, you know, you give it a 9.5. What if name a movie that's out there that might you give a 10? Like
Ooh.
what do you know?
That
Because this is
I have a film that's 10 out of 10.
I have a few.
well,
of
you
them.
just named one that's
Well, I know,
like
like,
right there.
Um,
You know?
The one in my top 5.
Not a lot of people give 10s. So like Zach gave, this is the first 10 on the episode we've done. 26 weeks.
Yeah.
Zach gave it 10. So like, you know, what would a movie have to be for you to give it 10? Or is there one out there?
I mean, honestly, I would have to. I couldn't really give that off right now on the spot answer.
Oh, you really like Pulp Fiction? Would that be a
What
10
about
out of
No,
10?
no,
No?
that's
Really?
probably an 8.5 for me. I
Really?
love the film. That doesn't mean I think it's the best out there. I'm not saying like don't get me
Deathly
wrong.
Hallows Part 2.
No,
That
I'd say
that'd be up there.
9. 9.
I would
on
be in.
that.
I would agree with
I
that.
mean, don't get me wrong. It was damn good. There was a
Sorcerer's
few.
Stone?
No.
The whole collection in general.
The whole collection, I think, deserves probably an
5.
8.6.
I give it a 7.
Just because there's so many, and I mean, this is really nitpicking because of a fan of both the books and the actors
So 10.
and the movies. But as far as a 10, I mean,
Would this be the closest? Would you
definitely.
You just give 9.5?
This is one of the
You're like,
top 5
fuck
closest
it.
ones.
Nobody gives you. Nobody gets a 10 in my book. Is that
No, not at all. This is one of the. I mean, honestly, you're
Passion
gonna
of
have
Christ?
to. I haven't seen more than half of that film actually.
Schindler's List?
Oh fuck! I haven't even reviewed that in a long time. I'd have to see that again.
Jurassic Park?
That would be
No,
10.
not
Jurassic Park would be a 10 out of 10.
The kids annoyed the shit out of me. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Which I
if,
you know, I agree.
Okay, the little boy in Jurassic Park, was supposedly a huge fan of
The little girl's the
Dr.
one
Grant.
that shined the flashlight.
Right, all right. But if that's my sister and that's me, that's a fucking 30-ton death machine.
I don't know if it's 32.
Well, I mean, 10 tons.
You should have
whatever.
choked her out then.
Literally, I would have been fighting, like, boxing match for that flashlight and been like, you dumbass. One thing that you've learned, turn that shit off and
Well,
don't move.
the mystery continues of it's 10 out of 10.
I mean, I'll go ahead and...
I don't think we'll ever get to Ed's 10.
We
but
will.
now
Next week we will.
after Endgame?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe Endgame.
Maybe, I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll get to it after.
What about
like,
Infinity
around-
War? Oh, don't say
No,
because
yeah, save that for the episode. Save that for the
Infinity War
episode.
in a few weeks.
I'll have to wait
One,
on that.
what are you gonna grade out for The Departed?
The Departed, I give it a 10 out of 10, and to me, this is a perfect movie. You never get bored. You never have a dull moment. There's laughs. There's moments that you feel like you get punched in the stomach. There's guessing throughout the whole movie. It's edge of your seat kind of action. It's edge of your seat thriller, suspense, drama, crime. Everything you want in a perfect movie. This is it.
10 out of 10, 8 Mile. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he's not. He's
no,
really not.
I'm
He's not.
probably 7.5 out of 10 on that.
It's an 11 out of 10.
His albums, yes.
Well, guys, that was The Departed. Go check it out. It's on Netflix.
And I want to thank everybody who was involved in the voting process, because last week I threw up a vote and I threw his name in there for shits and giggles because I'm a huge Adam Sandler fan.
He literally did. Like, this is some of the conversations we had. So.
I picked Tom Hanks. Zach, you picked
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I picked Johnny Depp.
And then Adam Sandler was just thrown in there because I'm like, why not? I have, fucking everything he's ever done. So everybody voted, and next week it is our first episode where we designate and dedicate the entire episode to one actor, and what better way to kick it off than it being Adam Sandler? Zach, how excited are you for this?
Listen, I can appreciate why people like Adam Sandler. I'm just not a big fan.
He
of this.
fucking hates him, basically.
No.
And for those of you that don't know, if you're like, I haven't heard anything from Adam Sandler in a while, he has a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix.
And on top of that, phone, wallet, keys. Those are the 3 words that you need to fucking understand.
But he
to
has.
get the Sandman.
Let's check this out. He has a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix. How many people can say that?
Yeah.
So all his recent stuff, a lot of other stuff that he does is all on Netflix. He's almost like completely assigned to Netflix. We're gonna cover films like Little Nicky, The Water Boy, Airheads, Bulletproof, Funny People. Ed, what are you most excited about next week?
Man, just all the laughs and, I mean, you know, the history I know he has with you, because, I mean, you've given me a couple of his old comedy albums. You know, I mean, there's a couple things with Adam Sandler that actually are huge with me. There's actually a couple songs I have to listen to of his to feel like it's of that holiday. So, I mean, the guy's been a part of my life for a decent while, to be honest. I mean, hell, you know, who would have known? Okay, when you think of famous twins playing one role, you think of 2 little girls playing one role on Full House, right?
Yeah.
But you're sadly mistaken. You should think of another opposite gender set of twins that played in a probably equally famous movie. Little boys named Cole and Dylan Sprouse playing that little boy in Big Daddy. I mean, I think that the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Cole Sprouse is in Riverdale.
I was about to say, yeah, you know, which I think he's the one who's got the new movie.
He has the new
coming
movie
out.
that came out this weekend, 5 Feet Apart.
Yeah, 5 Feet Apart. Yeah. So I mean, they're still. I mean, they're probably 26, 25. You know, and I think they were like 4 when that came out. So
yeah, but we're gonna be going through a lot of his stuff, his comedy bits, stand-up comedy, some of his albums, his longtime friendship with Chris Farley, and then we'll let you listen in on the song that he dedicated to Chris Farley on his Netflix special, which is out, which is available on Netflix. I highly recommend it. But guys, The Departed, we wrapped it up. Nice little ending to a huge Marvel week. And then next week is Adam Sandler. So, Zach, you'll be back next week?
I'll be back next week.
This is Edward signing out.
And guys, this is Johnny. We will find you and see you next week all about Adam Sandler. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day, and we will see you next week on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.